no, the NARC, man!
Here we go again, let's get started. I'm gonna tackle a game that was just on the borderline of being before my time. NARC. This game was out in 1988, and back in those days, I'm 8 years old, and I'm still kinda sheltered in my hometown. Most arcade games had a cartoonish or unfinished look to the graphics, but while walking down the line in your local arcade, this would jump out at you. Are those real people in there? Did someone shoot a movie and make it arcade interactive? I had to try it. Now at the time, pretty much all the games where you could stroll up and down on the screen instead of just side to side were city brawlers, but in this game you had a gun and a rocket launcher. The object, to kill or bust people in the drug dealing business. Well, mainly. There were clowns who would steal hookers, but hey, the message was clear. Say no to drugs, kids. Who knew saying no could be so fun, violent, and sexy? If this were true, we would have a 100% sobriety rate in this country. How the game was played was different in a way. Sure, go ahead and kill everyone if you want. The enemies keep coming and there's no end to it, so just go out on a rampage and kill, kill, kill. Or, if you want to rack up a higher score, try to bust or arrest the suspects alive. You'll get more points, and it is a neat little alternative to the mindless killing rampage. You're DEA, for goddammit, and you should know better. If you take them alive, you can torture them for info. Yeah, if you got to see that part, it probably wouldn't feel so good blasting off a rocket into a crowd of enemies just to see the shower of body parts. Yes, NARC is one of those violent types of video games. You would assume the role of the toughest DEA hitmen, Max Force and Hitman. I'm trying to remember in the 80s if that sounded tough to me, and no, I can't seem to recall that part. These two were hell-bent on taking out Mr. Big and his drug, sex, and greed empire. Unfortunately, he came back in the unofficial sequel to NARC, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. If only Max and Hid knew that Mr. Big's minions are weak to choreographed dance numbers. The graphics. I've been holding back on talking about these. I would call this time period the Bronze Age of arcade gaming. The really big arcade innovations are still years away at this point, and yet here's NARC, with its fine-tuned graphics and clarity. Hell, the amount of color used in this game wouldn't even be surpassed until Mortal Kombat 2. The game also came with a higher resolution monitor than most TVs or other arcade monitors at the time. However, the monitor was smaller in size, but the bright colors coming through would keep your eye caught. The digitized graphics would be something used again in the Williams game library under a collaborative company known as Midway for a game called Mortal Kombat. NARC pioneered what Mortal Kombat got so famous for, realistic-looking players in backdrops. Okay, I'm just kidding. We all know Mortal Kombat was infamous for the violence. NARC was no stranger to the violence. It was just lesser known for it, so the controversy wasn't there. I guess the game didn't stop to make a point about how violent it was, so it got overlooked. It was just too pretty, I guess. There were ports of this game to the systems available at the time, but the most advanced system started with an N and ended with an Nintendo. Porting this down from 32-bit to 8 really took away some of what NARC was, but Nintendo, with all their hatred of violence and such, still let the violence stay. I guess you couldn't really call it clear violence since the graphics weren't as good as the arcade. The drug references were somewhat eliminated, the clowns didn't try and steal hookers, in fact, the hookers were now missing from the game completely. The clowns still retain the name Kinky Pinky though. I guess that name was subtle enough to sneak by Nintendo. Most will say the port was just passable. The other ports at the time were way worse. They also tried to reboot the series in 2005 for the Xbox and PlayStation 2, and all I can say about that is no. So do you want to go be a tough DEA agent and blow up a meth lab, bust some criminals, confiscate marijuana plants, and earn the respect of the DEA because you single-handedly ended the war on drugs? Play some NARC. Even when you beat the game, they tell you to contact your local DEA recruiter. Get it? The game was a test to see if you could handle the realistic things they go through in this anti-drug business. Well, until Michael Jackson comes along to clean up the loose ends, but I'm Multi-Monitor Mike and Arcade Past. Let's make it last. See you soon. Yes, hello, DEA? Yeah, I was told to contact the recruiting office because I just beat NARC. Signing bonus? Really?